Victory Lap Management Group number 6. And here's group homework assignment number 1. As you see, as part of the group, I'm playing the project manager. This week, we also have Catherine, Kylan, Matt, Saeed, Nagazi, and Abdullah. For the agenda, we have 4 different areas we considered to complete this project. The project selection model, which we evaluated project models to determine which one is in our best interest for selection. Methodology, which is the strategy and rational research we use to get final justification. Analysis, which we take the 24 possible vessels and examine the data. And final selection is based off criteria we set to get the best configuration. So our project selection model we chose was scoring model, which is a decision-making tool used to assist and prioritize different alternatives based on specific criteria. And as you can see from the final score, that's our criteria, which consists of constraints, weights, and factor score. For the project evaluation factors, we have construction costs, reliability, operating costs, and operating capabilities, but we will go further detail about this the next slide. So for the construction costs, you see materials and labor, which includes like the length, which we had 34 feet, 36 and 38. The material, which was aluminum and fiberglass. Engine, it was single or twin diesel. And cabin, none or 3/4. For reliability factors, we have 5 seas and 30 knot winds, which really means 5-foot waves it can handle. And 30 knot winds is the average wind speed, a moderate gale, which is from 32 to 38 miles per hour. And operating costs, which, as you see, we have maintenance for material supplies and gas and insurance, but that's just kind of to sum it up. Operating capability, we have 4 factors: speed, endurance, durability, and response time. And this can go for in an ocean, lake, pond, whatever environment you plan to use the vessel, or for activities such as water skiing, scuba diving, snorkeling, or camping. So for our construction costs, we have constraints. 0 if the configuration is greater than 300,000, and 1 if the configuration is less than 300,000. If it was more than 300,000, then at 0, we didn't consider that vessel. So the 300,000 is our threshold, and that's based off of construction costs on the vessels. We will talk about that later on. For the weight, we as a group, we vote on the importance of everything. We took an average and we came up with 30%. As you can see from our rating score, the cheaper the better, and the more it cost, it was okay. The same for reliability. If it was 0, the configuration cannot handle 30 knot winds and 5 seas, and if it's 1, it can. So if we got anything with a 0, we didn't accept that vessel. And for the weight, the same thing happened again. We talked about we voted on the importance, and everyone gave a value, and we took an average. But for the 30 knot winds and 5 seas, that dealt with the average wind and waves, which basically can the vessel uphold in the environment. For the operating costs, we have 0 and 1. 0 if the configuration is greater than 40,000, and 1 if it was less than 40,000. So the 40,000 is our threshold, and that's based off operating costs of the vessels. We'll talk about that later on as well. As for the weight, we did the same thing. And as a group, we voted on the importance. Everyone gave a value, and we took the average. And as you can see from our factor score, the cheaper it was, the better. The more it cost, it became okay. For operating capability, as you see, we talk about the configuration cannot meet a sustained speed of 20 to 22 knots with 15%, or it can meet, it gave a 1. Same thing applies. If it was 0, then we didn't consider it. But the weight for this one was 25%. And if you notice with all our weight factors, if you add them up, they all add up to 1, so it's a percentage of itself. Right here for the analysis, this shows 24 possible vessel selection combinations. So right here we have 1 through 12. So the first one, you can have 34 fiberglass, single diesel, half cabin, and number 12, you can have a 36-foot aluminum twin diesel, half cabin. This is the second 12 set. And right here, as you see, for 13, you got a 36-foot long fiberglass single diesel 3/4 cabin, all the way to a 38-foot aluminum twin diesel 3/4 cabin. Okay, right here, we use this data to determine project configuration, material weight, labor, engine data, and this was research. So as you can see, we got material price for fiberglass and aluminum, the labor price, the labor hours for each length, the weight for each length, half cab and a 3/4, and even the diesel price for the engine. Right here, so this slide refers back to slide 8 where we talked about the 300,000. So those above 300,000 were canceled, and that's what's in the yellow. So we looked at this data as a whole, and 300,000 was chosen so we could have a good pool selection to still consider. But for the operating costs, the same thing happened again, where we refer back to slide 10 with the 40,000. Looking at the data chosen 4,000, we chose this collectively so we could have a good pool selection as well. And it's correlated to the construction costs. As well in this, we had the maintenance cost, which was 10%, the insurance, which was 1.5%, and docking was $30 per feet. And it's pretty much an average value what we came up with. So now we talk about the final scores. And to just get an idea, we have the 34-foot fiberglass single diesel half cabin, which was 5.4. We had a 34-foot long aluminum single diesel half cabin, which was 6.9. And, I'm not going to keep saying the routine, but you get it. So for number 3, we got 4.9. For number 4, we have a 6.5. For number 5, we have a score of 4.9. For number 6, we have a final score of 6.4. For number 7, we have a final score of 5. And for number 8, we have a final score of 6.2. For number 9, we have a final score of 4.4. For number 10, we have a final score of 6.4. For number 11, we have a final score of 4.2. And for number 12, we have a final score of 6.6. For number 13, we have a final score of 3.8, 14, 3.8, 15, 5.06, 16, 4.4, 17, 5.5, 18, 4.0, 19, 4.2, 20, 4.6, 21, 5.3, 22, 5.1. I'm sorry, 22, 5.1, 23, 3.4, and 24, 4.7. And the final winner is number 2, which was a 34-foot length aluminum single diesel half cabin, which was a score of 6.9. And this fell in our factor rating of excellent range based off the criteria we came up with. So the overall completion of this was, it was a cheaper build, but still quality with lower operating costs for a valuable vessel. This is the end of the presentation, Dr. Chung. Hope you enjoyed, and see you on the next one.